Last time when we played Void Deck,
Yeah.
I think over the course of 7 years, maybe we broke 2 lights.
You talk about that like it's a damn good record at that.
Then we will all scold the person.
Okay.
Well, like, you playing it, don't fucking kick
Then
like that.
do you all call the town council and say, hey, sorry guys, we broke this?
No.
So you left it as someone else's problem to fix.
Yes. Yes. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah. Wow.
How's the week, man?
Pretty crazy. I mean, this is our third episode a week.
Yeah.
Means that we managed to squeeze 3 episodes in, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know some people are like, what? Can't believe you're talking about weather as your first thing on the podcast.
Was it you saw some?
Somebody on YouTube, I think.
On YouTube.
Comments and
Why not, man?
Why not?
Yeah.
In Singapore, what else you talk about? It's either you talk about what you ate or the weather, right?
Yeah, and the weather is fucking great now.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
And it's only like this month, right, basically, that this happens.
Yeah. Because I think, there's always a stereotype, you got nothing to talk about, and then you talk about the weather, that kind of joke.
Yeah.
But holy shit, the weather has changed over the past, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
To be amazing now.
I think the people complaining must have climate privilege. They go to countries where, because there's different seasons or that. It's okay, acceptable to talk about, snow, like
weather
rain.
changes, Terrence?
Weather
Why you want to talk about it?
Singapore, we only 11 months a year. We got the same shit. It's hot.
Yeah.
So when it's cool, it's like I want to talk about it all the time, every day. Yeah.
Going to live with someone, and hey, have you noticed the weather change?
Yeah.
That's
Then I talk
great,
to people,
man.
then they're like, it's still very hot. And then I'm like, hey, fuck you, like. Well,
You seen some people? You heard someone say
I've
that?
been chatting to some people. And then I think after that, my mood is like, I don't want to talk to this
They
guy.
say
He's
it's still
negative.
hot.
Yeah.
Walao, eh.
But I mean, it's muggy at certain points, right? It's
Yeah.
like when especially like right after rain, the sun comes up. But come on, you can't complain. Last night, I no aircon, man, when I slept. I slept no aircon. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Weather privilege, yeah.
Yeah, weather privilege.
Yeah, it's great. And just the sound of the pitter patter of the water on your windowsill and all. It's so nice. So nice. I love it.
That's your living high floor privilege, right? You can,
Terrence, the water falls on every window.
Yeah.
You tell me the rain on the 11th story, rain on 2nd story is different, is it?
The wind is usually stronger at high up, right?
But the pitter patter of the raindrops is the same.
I don't hear as much pitter patter lah. Yeah.
Because you far from your window, is it?
Lower floors, everything lah. So there's
Nonsense. The rain pitter patters there's no discriminatory pitter pattering.
I mean, that's why I say it's high floor privilege.
No, it is the same on the 11th
okay.
floor.
We're not accusing you of anything.
Terrence,
You're just saying it's a privilege.
By the laws of physics, tell me how the rain falls on windows differently at the 11th floor versus the 2nd floor.
The angle, the wind blows at a certain angle. At higher floors is stronger, right? So it really hits your window at the higher floors.
I say the windowsill, so it's the downward pitter pattering. It's not the sideways.
Windowsill. Okay, you got windowsill privilege.
No,
windowsill privilege.
By windowsill, I mean like that 1-inch thing.
You can hear on that little 1-inch thing. You know that it's that 1-inch thing, is it?
Yeah,
You got very good hearing privilege.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the little 1-inch sill, where once in a while there's a lizard or something, the pitter pattering.
You can hear the lizard pop, 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 pop.
Yeah,
he's on the
exactly.
windowsill. He's not on the window. He's on the windowsill.
Exactly. Walking on glass and walking on concrete, very different.
Very different, yeah.
So different. Yeah.
This, funny enough, this is even related to one of our topics later about noise people make around the estates and all that, right?
Oh, yes. I was like, hey, does it? Oh, yeah.
So, for all those people who think we're just talking shit, we're not, man. We are setting it up for the payoff later.
Yeah.
So, don't criticize us for talking about the weather.
Exactly, man. And, maybe we'll make it a segment every podcast. Like...
One shook weather.
What's the weather? Terrence, what was your favorite weather of the week?
When the rain fell on my windowsill and
you heard the
pitter patter. Yeah.
The pitter patter. Pitter patter. Yeah, man. But yeah. So yeah. But before we jump into the topics, is there anything you want to say, Terrence?
As always, coming to the end of the year, there's a lot of interesting content coming out soon, right? We always do our end of year review and all. So if you don't want to miss all that, do make sure you're subscribed. You follow us, especially on the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple. There's no more Google Podcasts, right? But anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no more.
Or follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you get notified anytime that we put up new video.
And if you want to work with us, just hit us up at contact@ministryoffunny.com. If you want to work with us, if you're a brand, you're an individual, just say hello, man.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man.
Cool.
Yeah. So, the first topic
Yes.
has to do with money, man.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is the news that that has been put out by the Economist Intelligence Unit, the EIU, that on 30th November released their study called the Worldwide Cost of Living. It's a survey that is done twice. Every year it's been coming out. And Singapore has tied with Zurich as the world's most expensive city. And it overtook, previously I think it was, last year was Singapore and New York.
Yeah.
Right. Singapore has been the top for 9 out of 11 years.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So then New York slipped to I think 6th position. And yeah, there's a bunch of news articles, not just in Singapore, but around the world that Singapore tied with Zurich lah. Because even European newspapers, I can imagine, Zurich is the most expensive city in the world, tied with Singapore.
Yeah.
So Singapore's getting a lot of press.
Yeah.
So, but what made you want to talk about this?
I think it's obviously 9 out of 11 years means that we all kind of numb to that kind of news already. I think what's always interesting is the justifications lah. I think the Ministry of Trade Information, MTI, gave a statement.
I already got statement.
To sort of do a yellow butt, to like give the yellow butt opinion on this highest cost of living. And immediately it was quite a defensive stance, right? They didn't Singapore celebrates being number 1 in the world. No, not that. What did they say actually?
Which ministry put
MTI.
MTI, yeah. Wait, let me pull it up. I think did you found it in an article or
so I mean it's on the I think you can find it on the Business Times article about this. A spokesperson from the MTI on Thursday said that the survey may not reflect the cost of living for Singaporeans, as it is designed to help HR managers globally calculate cost of living allowances for expats and business travelers. And the consumption basket used that the Economist uses does not reflect what Singaporeans usually consume, noting that prices were converted to US dollars to facilitate comparison. So Singapore's strong exchange rate, which does not affect the cost of living for Singaporeans and instead dampens the effect of imported inflation, thus contributed to the higher ranking, said the spokesperson. So I think they're saying that, primarily it's because of the Singapore, the exchange rate right now between Singapore and US. Singapore dollar is very strong, right?
Yeah.
So if you are living in Singapore, working in Singapore, earning in Singapore, and spending in Singapore, that's not something that you will be affected by lah. But on the survey, because it's converted to a US dollar, where a US person living in the US, working US, earning US dollars, and then suddenly looking at the prices in Singapore, might suddenly feel, the price is very, very high lah.
Yeah. So I mean, on that note, just to give a bit more context about the methodology of the survey. So it is a twice yearly survey conducted by the EIU, compares 400 prices across more than 200 products and services in 173 cities. So this survey has been done for more than 30 years, collected in March and September. So they literally say this survey has been designed to enable human resource and finance managers to calculate cost of living allowances and build compensation packages for expats and business travelers. Can also be used by consumer good firms for pricing trends and stuff like that. So there's more than 200 products and services and 50,000 individual prices collected every 6 months.
Across the world, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So food, drink, clothing, household supplies, home rents, transport, utility, private schools, domestic help, and then they are revised periodically. Then they survey a range of stores, supermarkets, mid-price stores, and higher-price specialty outlets. And then they are converted into a central currency, the US dollar, and weighted against New York City. So New York City has a score of 100.
Yeah.
I think Singapore's score is 104. And yeah, so this one, the whole goal is to come up with a set of weights that is internationally based. So groceries, household supplies, all are weighted according to the item lah.
Yeah.
And then they have a free report, like a summary, but for the detailed report, you need to buy it lah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think it was important to give the context of the methodology.
But speaking of methodology, how do you think the researcher does it? Like, they get the email from their boss, then they start to have to go to NTUC and like
Sheng
just Sheng Siong and start noting down prices on the phone, and then they just compile it in a spreadsheet and then send it over or what?
I mean, I'm guessing it's a mix of everything.
Go online now. Can go online now. They work from home, then they just check.
I'm guessing prices. Maybe the boss says, okay, you find out prices from NTUC. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
But then I'm hoping that they also go to the wet markets and shit like that.
You think so?
I don't know.
Then they go and ask auntie, hey auntie, this one how much? Then
that's true.
I don't want to buy. Yeah. I just want to know the price. Wow, you get shouted
correct.
at.
The auntie say $5, $4 cannot. Yeah, okay. Then okay. I think probably not that.
Probably they probably you
correct,
cannot have to negotiate like. If you have to haggle, then I think maybe it cannot be counted already, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's probably like list price lah.
Yeah.
And then the report is actually quite. It's not too long. It's quite informative. Basically, like some of the summaries they talk about. Generally, price growth has slowed. Some US cities have slipped down. I think China and Japan also had a lot of cities slip down. Russian cities, of course, have gone down. But as you read through this, as you dive into it, a lot of the titles are very sensationalist.
Sure.
Right, especially for Singapore. And this one, I think the other articles came out, the median income has decreased in Singapore.
Yeah.
The wealth of billionaires in Singapore has increased.
Yeah.
COE fucking increased. Just like some new Duxton HDB sold for 1.41 million. So with all that floating, right? Like what was going through your mind? What do you feel, man?
Like I said, a bit numb about the whole thing, right? I think it's there's quite obviously a two-tier kind of almost two-tier economy. You're starting to see it a difference between mostly locals, Singaporeans, or who live in public housing and eat at hawker centers, and that's the lifestyle, right? Then there's those, like what you said, billionaires and all, who maybe might never step into a hawker center for the entire time that they're in Singapore, right? Or they live in the Sentosa Cove, Quayside Isle, that kind of place. And yeah, these are the two, what Pritam Singh warned about, right? The two Singapores. And I think as a population, as you see more and more news like this, right, of Singapore being having the highest cost of living, but then you see the response from the MTI being, no, it's not that bad, I think it can breed a lot of resentment, if not checked properly. And checked properly in the sense of like what I think we talked about, the land reclamation along East Coast in the future, right? Will it just be private homes that have sea views of the East Coast of Singapore? Or will it be a mixture of public and private, right? Showing that even as a local who born and bred here, you're not earning the top 5% in the economy or what. But it's still a possibility for you to have seaside living or what, right? So quite can be quite precarious, and if not checked properly, the public sentiment could turn sour quite quickly. Yeah.
So that's where I agree that the public sentiment it's brewing, and you see this, you're like, oh fuck. Even you wake up, you see these articles, you're like, shit. But at the same time, right, I think these sort of surveys, how you say, can be misconstrued or like taken to be a lot more sensationalist than they are. Because the more I read it, right, the more, Singapore is expensive.
Yes.
Prices are increasing. But I also feel like for it to be listed as the most expensive city, just blanket, I think it is also not the fairest.
Why?
Because when so of course there's anecdotal evidence based on my own experience in some of the other cities and all.
Sure.
But I think in Singapore, as much as it does feel like there are two Singapores, right? I think just because you have this higher tier and all, you cannot just disregard the fact that there are things that are available in Singapore at prices that you probably don't find in cities around the world.
Like what?
Like, I mean, like, let's say the food, right?
Hawker food.
Yeah, hawker food, I know. And I know that one sometimes can depress the overall perception of the cost of living or something. But if, like, let's say this is taking into account like cars, the prices of cars, right? Or private transport, there's no equivalent metric to take into account the ease of public transport or the effectiveness of public transport. So that's why when I read these articles, I agree that sentiment is building, and I also feel it. I'm like, wow, fuck, Singapore is expensive. But this one, I think maybe is a bit too extreme, lah. Yeah. So that's where with the spokesperson responding like that, to a certain extent, I can see where they're coming from, lah.
But I mean, hawker centers are not a very fair comparison, right? Like, hawker centers are subsidized with public money.
Yeah.
They are, like, whether it's rents and everything, there's price control and all these things, lah. And to, it's something that doesn't exist in other parts of the world, right? And so that there's no real comparison point for something like a hawker center, unless you're talking about you go and eat at the roadside food,
street food and all.
So isn't that cutting it, making it seem a bit more rosy than it actually is? Because, like, it's literally like what you said, like, it's designed to feed the masses in some way, like, right? You didn't say that, but I mean, I think what you're saying is that a lot of people eat at hawker centers and all.
Yeah.
So it's designed to feed the masses, but the prices are quite artificially depressed.
People,
I mean, literally, hawkers a lot of times they have to offer a menu item that is below a certain threshold. You see, so that doesn't exist for a lot of other countries and restaurants and all that.
Yeah.
So to say that our food is cheap, I think also kind of paints the picture. That, I mean, it's not a full representation of the picture. I find if someone says that, hey, Singapore food very cheap, what, Because I'm saying, like, what if you saw something overseas, like a Japanese meal or something, a meal in Japan, right? That quality that you try to get that same quality or what in Singapore, I feel like you'll be paying a much higher price.
Right.
But so, there isn't the equivalent for hawker center in Japan, right?
I mean, like those sort of like at least in Seoul, I just went to Seoul. There's those food markets, where people can sit down and eat.
Yeah.
I know those prices also sometimes with the octopus and all, they can go up. But like what you said, right? Just pointing out hawker food doesn't paint the full picture. I totally agree. That's why for me, these sort of surveys also, I think if you take it in the context that it is for people outside of a country looking at what their money is worth in that country, it makes sense. That's why, like, if you like the survey that was done about that also became quite a controversial thing in Singapore about the what was the cost of living, the study or something.
Oh yeah, what's required for subsistence, right?
So those sort of surveys, I think, are a lot more effective.
Yeah,
because it is more inward looking. It's not kind of like pitting countries against each other, because this one, the one thing also that as much as I'm ever ready to jump on, like, oh, Singapore is damn expensive, like, one thing, if you look at the report, like the report itself explained why certain countries shifted down the list or up the list because of their currency in relation to the US. If you got a weak currency, your cost of living is going to be lower because it's converted to US. Right? So in Singapore, like right now, I think our currency is doing very well, strongly. So I think that also factors in a bit for how we compare relatively. So my whole point is, like, this sort of studies and all, like what you said, it's almost numb to it. Yeah. So, but where it can be dangerous is if, like, this becomes like the cornerstone for people just explaining why Singapore is expensive.
But that's where that's where a lot of discussions with politicians and all, I think this will be a lot more ammunition, right, for people who are talking about struggling with the cost of living. And don't forget, now it's December 2023. Big 1% increase in GST coming soon, right? At the end of the year. And then, I mean, subsequently, there'll be some GST vouchers to offset that and all. But it's on people's minds, right?
Yeah.
Even as you go into the holiday season, especially if you go to the holiday season, you're buying presents or eating out with friends, all that. You'll start feeling the pinch.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I can't remember who pointed out something to me or where I read something about thinking about the GST hike, right? it's always like, okay, from 7 to 8%, 8 to 9%, and it feels like it's a 1% change. But from 8 to 9 is actually a 12.5% increase of GST.
How do you think of that?
Because you're going from 8 to 9, what? So it's 1% out
Oh,
of 8.
I see. The amount of GST.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh shit, actually, that is a true point. So it's 1% increase in the price of the item, but for GST itself, it's a 12.5% increase.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a interesting thing that made me...
Brilliant.
It wasn't from me. It wasn't from me. I can't remember who pointed that out to me, but I was like, hey, shit. It's just because now, I mean, like what you say, even planning next year, or like even thinking in the future, right? Family planning and all that kind of everything's on the minds of the people. It's on my mind also.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, everything is getting expensive. But when I read this report, I'm like, I don't know. This whole if you take it in the context of like, okay, for travelers, like what you said early on, if you're earning in another country, you come to Singapore, then it's a worthwhile survey, lah. Yeah.
But hasn't all the recent things that we've discussed, like right, F1, Taylor Swift, MBS experience, all these things. The more we are talking about more and more of these experiences that are more and more out of reach for the average Singaporean, the median income earner or anything like that, right? So doesn't make you like, doesn't seeing this also just make you just builds on this sense of like worry that your country is slipping away from you, like your ability to prosper in this country.
I think what worries me more is those things, like the F1, that one, and like just seeing that really that the two Singapore's feeling is coming up. But this one, I don't know. Maybe like it's the rainy weather or something. I look at it, I'm like, it's a bit numbing, No, it's a bit numbing, Yeah, like so. I don't know. Like this one, did you feel that same kind of tinge of like, oh, your Singapore slipping away from you?
I mean, maybe it's 9 times in 11 years, but it always shocks me because I'm at the age where I can remember when last time when we talked about going to Japan, people would be like, wow, Japan is so expensive. Or, even to some extent, even like the US, US is so expensive. I mean, US is, the last I traveled there, it's not cheap, right? But there are ways to live more cheaply in the US that are more easily accessible for Americans, you see. But in Singapore, we don't have that.
Yeah.
And now we go to Japan, or you went to Korea, and we're like, wow, certain things are so cheap. I can't believe it, that it was so cheap. I felt so much, not say so much richer or what, but I felt like I didn't have to. I used to like have that guilt when you travel and like, oh shit, everything's so expensive. Now I feel like, well, shit, maybe I saved money by traveling to that country and holidaying there instead. And it's kind of crazy that we, even at our age, we can. That's that quickly from our, whether it's 20s or teens or what. Now you can like really say that there's such a big difference, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm going to be going KL end of the year, and I'm like, please. Actually, I know like Malaysians and all, they're like, hey, fuck you, okay? Yeah. Now it's not 1.3, 1 to 3, it's 3.5. Like, so what I find would be a more useful survey would be like, okay, that's the principle of the Big Mac Index, right? Where they compare like how much you earn, or like what's your take home after taxes and all, and the expenses for things that are common, and the purchasing power of your own currency.
Is that the Big Mac? I thought the Big Mac Index was just...
It's just, but I'm saying like something a bit more like, okay, to the perspective of people within that country, how do you compare with perspective of people within other countries?
But that's why the Big Mac one is good, right?
Yeah,
because it's the same product.
It's the same product.
You can get it in almost every country, and you 100% you know when I say you eat a Big Mac, you know how much food that is for you also, right?
Yeah, actually, I mean, there is the Big Mac Index 2023. Suddenly Singapore is like fucking high. Then I'm like, fuck lah, this one. Okay, let's see. But yeah, so Singapore, okay, it's not crazy high. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 lah. Switzerland. So okay, you see, for this survey, the EIU, Singapore and Zurich tied. Big Mac Index, Switzerland is top also. But Singapore is, I think in Switzerland it costs in US dollars 773 USD, and in Singapore it's 486. So even just looking at that, right, then this takes into account something which I feel like EIU survey doesn't lah.
Correct. And here's the yellow butt though.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, McDonald's
Uh.
is, they're also competing with what the options are in Singapore, right? And if if next to your McDonald's, there's a hawker center selling depressed food prices, naturally also your price of your McDonald's will be affected. Right? So, yeah, I mean, it's probably a better way to look at it. But what I'm saying is that, specifically when it comes to food prices, I feel that whatever surveys are done on that, very hard to reflect the full picture of things, right? Like, I mean, I can't remember, was it one of the MPs who was like, do you want to eat in a hawker center, food court or restaurant, right? That is the existential crisis that Singaporeans have today, right? Yeah. You want to live cheaply, you can eat hawker center every single day. But once in a while, you want aircon, then you got to pony up the money for food court. Oh, you want to impress your date? Then you better fucking go to a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
But, can you say that the food court and the restaurant are things that you should never eat because they're more expensive? No, once in a while, you need to have them, right?
But Terence, you can eat food on the table. You shut the fuck up about restaurant. Huh?
Don't eat food on the table.
That's the argument, right?
Put food on the table. That's what you're saying? Or eat food on the table. Because I can eat on the floor also. I can eat on the floor if I need to. I can eat with my hands.
That's true. No, but there's also a counter argument which we have heard. And with regards to the survey that was done, the local survey, that counter argument, it rubs people the wrong way, saying, there's a difference between what you need and what you want. Whereas that survey was, what does it take to live a dignified life, right? And
so your argument is basically the Nas Daily argument,
which is what?
Singaporeans all crybabies.
No, I'm playing devil's advocate. Devil's advocate. Because, on the note of hawker food, I mean, you can see the prices creep up, right? And the thing is about hawker stalls in Singapore, the sad truth is, how many of the current hawker stalls run by, mom and pop, are going to carry on, right? Yeah. And when they close, what takes their place? You're seeing more and more hawker centers where you get, more
artisanal,
deconstructed meat and noodles and shit like that.
But you say that with so much contempt, but isn't that, the future of what hawker centers need to be?
That is what, when I look forward into the future of Singapore, then I feel, oh fuck, then we are becoming a Zurich, where there's one thing of depressed prices for things. Is that still going to be there?
Yeah. But I mean, I actually don't have that big an issue when it's someone comes in and wants to offer something, a bit more artisanal and a bit you pay a bit more premium to get something slightly better, even though it's still a hawker center and all.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's also not fair or sustainable for them to expect them to be rock bottom prices and to feed the masses, by feed the masses muffins or whatever, right? But if they make a fucking good muffin, I'm willing to pay a bit more.
So what you say, I got contempt on my face.
The way you say,
that's just my regular face,
Oh, is it?
It's my regular face. It wasn't my contempt. What's the noun for contempt? Contemptuous.
Contempt is the noun. Contempt.
But how do you say a face that is expressing contempt?
Contemptuous. Yeah, I think so.
Contemptuous. Yeah, my contemptuous face. See, because when people listening, right, they probably think my face is like, but it's not.
I can imagine next time you bring your wife to a nice restaurant for her birthday, then they come and serve you the food. Then they're like, oh, this one is artisanal foam. Then you giving them this face. As they're saying
if it's artisanal foam that I'm paying $60 a plate for, then I'm like, fuck that foam, man. They can't. But if it's some, like what you said, there are stalls out there where they just make mee pok, but a bit more up So that one I'm okay.
Yeah, okay.
But when they bring it fucking here's the nasi lemak sambal, we make a foam version of it. I mean, I don't think you find it in a hawker center.
You won't find it in a hawker center.
Fucking foam.
Yeah.
You've tried those food with made into foam.
Yeah.
It blows, why?
Just to taste the essence of it. Right?
I see if you look at it as a piece of art, then it's a bit more okay. But if it's food, it's
a hawker center is UNESCO heritage. Also, it's also art. There's also a lot of art value to the world.
Oh, correct.
Artistic value to the world. It adds artistic color to the world.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what the parameters for that UNESCO heritage thing is like. Is it there needs to be this number of hawker stalls preserved, or is it just that one hawker stall must be preserved, or the culture of hawker must be preserved?
I mean, to say must be preserved is it's recognized, but will it be preserved is another question. The crazy thing is, I remember I once watched uncle, very famous curry noodle hawker center. And then the way he was preparing his curry noodles, there was this cadence and this rhythm to his movement. It looked like he was like, you were watching a video on loop like that, the way he was like moving between the noodles and the soup and everything. His movements were just this like, almost like
mesmerizing.
Like, yeah. So I was like, wow, this guy is so dedicated to his craft. It's amazing that his body, the muscle memory and everything is baked into like making these noodles perfectly and scooping the exact right amount and putting it into the curry, blah, blah, blah. Until I realized that it's probably like your body, you're like that, that Charlie Chaplin, that skit where he's at the factory doing the same thing over and over again until like when he steps away from it, he's doing the same thing over. And it doesn't look so, you don't look at it in such a positive way. It's also almost like the guy's muscle memory is like, he twitches, he almost naturally already does that by default already, like he can't help it, It's almost like a factory line, basically his...
But was he smiling or was his face like contemptuous?
He was working. No contempt. But what I'm saying is that because of there's this, sometimes I feel like there's this unfair expectation that hawker centers are about feeding masses at the lowest prices. Then people almost treat what they do as like, hey, you cannot be earning more money. I cannot possibly be paying you a bit more money for what you're doing, But then they walk into a like expensive restaurant and pay $60 for artisanal foam, right? So it's just the perception of it. I feel is we don't respect our own hawker culture enough.
And maybe that's the crack, like we're not valuing them enough, which depresses the prices, which gives people the idea that hey, cost of living is low in Singapore.
It's because of these profiteering hawkers, right?
Yeah. So I mean that's why Like the thing is, I think no one can deny that Singapore is getting more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's also thinking about it in a way that is the most, how you say, most useful, which is why like going back to that survey that was done looking at Singapore, I thought those sort of surveys are very important. Whereas this one is like, I mean, it's Singapore's the most expensive city in the world, tied with Zurich. Yeah, just...
But I mean, on the flip side, right? If the idea is about telling expatriates about, Singapore, that if you want to live in Singapore, get ready for these prices. Actually, I would say there's the perverse incentive. Like it becomes like a badge of honor to say that you work in Singapore, right? Especially for people who come from countries that aren't as like already like very rich or anything like, right? It becomes this badge of honor to like, I live in Singapore.
It's like for a while, working in New York, you spend time in New York. Now it's like, you spend time in Singapore.
Is it safe? You get robbed.
Have you been to Jew Chat? You been to Jew Chat? Whoa, Jew Chat.
Yeah. Let me bring you to Tiong Bahru. It's
get some
such a crazy place,
kopi and some tea.
Like how how a lot of foreigners and they pepper their words with la in a very contrived way, right? Yeah. How do you feel about that? You like that?
I mean, depends. Like depends the way they do it. If it's more like just acknowledging, okay, this is you're embracing a new language. I'm like, all for. But when they try and pass it off like they've been living here for years, then I'm like, I mean, you wouldn't go to like another country like France and be like, ooh,
bonjour.
Oui, just throw it in like as though it's natural to you. I love it when people come to Singapore and try to really integrate.
Yeah.
And we know some people like that, right? Like even when they use la, it's almost very endearing.
Yeah.
Then I'm like,
And it's still tinged, not tinged, but I mean it is mixed in with their own accent from their own country.
Yeah, correct.
But they really halfway there, between being Singaporean and another country. And that's I like talking to those people. So
I mean, one thing about talking about this survey, I know we have listeners who listen to us from other countries.
Yeah.
Maybe they're listening to us, they're like, these two idiots have no idea what they're talking about. Singapore is fucking expensive. So please share your thoughts on Reddit, Instagram and all that, because getting the external perspective is always useful.
Like, this is the happiest country in the world.
Yeah.
That's the external perspective that you want.
I mean, all perspectives are welcome. All perspectives are welcome.
Yeah.
Even if you make just 1 minute videos.
Correct.
Yes. Sweet.
But yeah, just now we're talking about the pitter-patter of the rain and the noise that you hear from the pitter-patter of the rain and how you love it all. There's another type of pitter-patter that sometimes people hear and from their at the flats and all that, right? That they're not that fond of lah. And it's ruffled some feathers as well. But what is this pitter patter that we're talking about?
The pitter patter of Singapore's future in sports. Because it came to light that notice by the town council, the Sembawang Town Council, that was announced on November 3rd, that the part of the void deck was barricaded at block 638 Woodlands Ring Road. So apparently there was a complaint or a few complaints about the noise of people playing football at the void deck lah. Even though there are signs there that kind of point like okay, no football allowed. And then the town council explained that it was feedback in response to feedback about noise generated by, and I quote, school children kicking ball and shouting while playing, creating noise nuisance at the void deck. So I mean, they barricaded it with like those kind of orange netting, like
construction site.
Construction site, and you can't play. So I think this is damn sad.
Why do you link it to the future of football in Singapore?
Because, like, okay, so I'm going to sound like an old uncle now, but last time, like, if you grew up liking football, and like you stayed in or near a HDB, chances are you have played at the void deck lah. And that was so freeing, and like it's just a bunch of people coming together to play football. And of course, sometimes I wouldn't deny that we were a nuisance also. But it felt like that's it grows the love of a sport lah, which in this case is football. And it's almost like, okay, anyone can go there and play. You don't care who you are, where you come from. Everyone comes and plays, and it just allows you to play. Like if you can only play at designated areas, then it's just more obstacles along the way to the inertia to play is higher. And I think like for any person to be good in sports, or for a country to be in sports, there must be a culture of like, hey, we want people to play sports. So that was why I was taking such a pessimistic stance.
So where you live, do you see people playing football in the void deck?
No.
But would you be okay if one day you're on your way to work, weather's beautiful, you had a great cup of coffee, you said bye to your wife, you take the lift, you press 1, you come down, you step out the lift, and MRT is like 5 minutes away, and you're going to be in aircon, and then suddenly a ball comes and whacks you across the face.
Yeah.
And it's just a kid who's playing football in your void deck, right?
Yeah, so I'll be pissed.
You'll be pissed.
Because like that is a thing that is not nice regardless of situation. Even if it's legal, even if you're walking by a football field, you are waiting for a traffic light, you cannot walk by the football, you'll be pissed. But you still would say, okay, you guys can play there, just be more careful. So I think two separate things, Terence.
Right, but you'll be pissed off, but they can't control exactly how the ball flies.
If you play football, you can. Last time when we play void deck, I think over the course of like 7 years, maybe we broke 2 lights lah.
You talk about that like it's a damn good record at that.
We broke 2 lights.
Who repaired the light? Who paid for the repair?
Okay, so that's why we were a nuisance at times. At times. But that was because one fucker got a bouncing ball. Like you can almost know, hey, please don't volley it. Please don't volley it. Volley, break the light. Then we will all scold the person.
Okay.
Well, are you playing it? Don't fucking kick like that.
Do you all call the town council and say, hey, sorry guys, we broke this?
No.
So you left it as someone else's problem to fix.
Yes. But I'm just addressing the point that you made, that if someone kicks the ball off, or like if you're playing under the void and you volley like crazy, it is not because they're playing there. It's because that one player just was being selfish. Like last time, anytime the ball goes on the road, right? The person who kicked the ball was like, hey, why you have to kick under like that? You have an open goal there. You don't need to score like a Ronaldo volley. Just tap it in.
Sure.
Yeah, there are ways you can suppress how hard you kick or how you play and all.
But when you watch football, there are times that the goal is right in front of them. They also sky the ball and it goes all the way to the stands, right? You can't control it all the time.
But the reaction of the teammates are like, shit. Like, okay, you messed up.
Yeah, you messed up.
So in this case also, if you kick someone who's coming out of the lift, all other players should be, hey, why you keep going? You go and say sorry. You go and say sorry.
If the person is in the hospital or something like from when the ball hit them and they're old.
Terence, then don't step out lah. Because then if someone is just like throwing their drink packet to their friend and suddenly threw them hard and hit you in the face,
But that's the thing, nobody throws their drink packet at people. And
You
all
never
that, right?
to your friend lah, but maybe you just slip and then it hits.
But that's the thing, right? Like you're saying, like if you want to let the kids play there, if something happens, something screws up or what, no one's going to take responsibility for it, right?
So now that can be a thing. Like find a way to make people think.
Find a way to put cameras and put barricades.
The thing is, barricades now people cannot even play. If they barricade the whole thing, saying that okay, you want to play, you go inside this netted area. Then okay. So I mean, okay. So I know, like just now when I was saying, I sounded like a nuisance when I was young, right?
Yeah.
But it's just it can't just be like okay, nowhere you can play, because the thing about Singapore, especially when you're living in apartments and all, you don't have the luxury of like just an open area to play, right? So the void deck used to be that. Is it the right place? Maybe not. But it just feels, wow, when they barricade this, because this is also causing an inconvenience for everyone else, no?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't walk through the barricade.
Yeah.
So it just felt like, wow, this is damn extremes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, maybe it means about having real designated parts where people can play, even kick a ball. And if it means, like, those cages that they put underneath the expressways in Singapore, sometimes underpasses and all that, right? Is it underpasses or overhead? Flyovers, yeah. Then they have those cages, those companies that like allow you to play futsal in these cages. I think there's a brilliant idea, a brilliant use of space that otherwise, like, in most countries is like where drug dealers and homeless people hang out, right? But in Singapore, we turn them into commercial enterprises and you can rent and play right there. Actually, I think it might make for a good idea to have to designate a small space in every void deck, or at least like every couple of blocks, that is for kids to just run free, right?
Yeah.
Because I agree with you, I don't like it that they seal up. In fact, I wasn't thinking so much of football, but I was really thinking of the fact that putting netting around public areas actually it's quite trauma triggering, I would say, trauma inducing, because we just lived through the COVID, right? Where I remember the playgrounds being like surrounded by these nets, and then they like sealed up even like slides, kiddie slides and all that. And I think it was it Andy Chen who was on our podcast, and he said when he moved to Taiwan during COVID and he saw an open playground and kids playing there, and his kids ran up to play at the playground, he wanted to break down and cry because it's like almost like such a traumatic thing to see that you can't even like let your kids go to a playground and all that, right? And so seeing this, I was like, wow, fuck, that like reminds me of that shit. And I think one day we will all look back in history and like the collective trauma and everything of COVID, we'll come to terms with it and realize like, hey, like people can't be cooped up at home and can't have public spaces blocked off like that. It's very, very can be very traumatic and very triggering for people, right? And so seeing this, I'm like, yeah, I know you don't want people to play, but is this the best way to do it, right?
But that being said, maybe the people playing there were really assholes.
Maybe. And very noisy also.
Very noisy.
Noise can't be barricaded.
Exactly. Because that's like a goes on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Noise can't be barricaded.
Yeah. Please keep your volumes down during your religious holiday and everything.
Must have a happy whatever thing.
Religious holiday.
Yeah, please barricade your noise. But basically, let's say if they were really damn noisy, let's say if people have come to tell them, hey, don't play. For the town council also, for them is like, I'm giving them a benefit of doubt. Maybe this was like last resort.
Maybe.
Yeah. Right. So like, okay, we tell you how many fucking times, you know how many complaints we're getting a day. You want to play also, play like at 1 to 3 p.m. Don't play it like when it's late or like at 6 a.m. or something. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is like, I also don't know, like this is my again from anecdotal evidence of speaking to other friends who live in HDB and all. Like, even the designated street soccer courts in Singapore, they are not that full. No?
Yeah.
Because last time I remember after school, right, you have to be like, okay, wow, got 6 teams. Okay, you get one shot, you play, you lose, fuck. Then you have to just walk to another thing. Now it's like empty. Yeah. So then it becomes a thing like, is there even a desire to play, or do kids even have time to play?
Or it might be a shelter thing, because under the HDB, under the flats, it's sheltered, right? So when it rains or it's very hot, so bad. But those outdoor areas, you'll still be under the elements. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people choose to play in the void deck. You know?
But like, I mean, when I walk around my housing estate, I don't see people playing football at all.
Yeah lah. I guess it's because people scared that you'll come out and be pissed off with them and scold them.
Suddenly you see some video in future of me just losing my shit at like a 7-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Why you kick my face? Yeah. You never see me coming out. You cannot see the number of the lift coming from opening and level 1, is it?
Yeah. Maybe they have to give the benefit of the doubt. Okay, let's say like a lot of older residents living around there.
Yeah.
They need, but then this barricade does block their path also to walk lah. So
exactly,
can't see it as a very, it can't possibly be a very good solution either. Yeah.
Future of sports, how like that? How? And I mean, you have a young kid. Like, how do you think about like sports or anything?
Yeah, I want him to just like, I would love it that if he can just go somewhere and just like, just start playing lah. And then kids, they really. Yeah, one thing you really realize is that the world is their playground, right? You can go to any kind of normal, like a place with a bunch of pillars, and somehow they'll find some way to play around it. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch, right?
Yeah.
How they interact in the environment in ways that, like you just get so jaded or so bored seeing the same thing over and over. You bring them once and it invigorates you because they teach you how to interact with space and everything so freely, and so it's everything is a new experience for them, lah. For example, like. Our sports hub, right? Around the sports hub, there's these tracks and all that, right?
Yeah.
As an adult, I never ever thought like going there would be fun or anything, But more recently, I've discovered, just going around the track is fun. Then there's all these other things that they built around the tracks, the basketball courts, the water play area, all these things that are free and accessible for anyone to go, lah. You know, and it's such a joy to discover these things. But you would hope that it's more than just having to go to the sports hub to do it in other parts of Singapore also. But Singapore does have a very high density of parks and playgrounds as well. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, and I think we can't run away from the fact that Singapore, I mean, it is dense in general. Open spaces are hard to come by.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know whether new BTOs or government housing have designated play areas. Because imagine if there's a football level. Walao eh.
Yeah.
How dope will that be, man?
What do you mean football level?
Like one level in the BTO is for football. And got like the walls and all are slightly different and all.
Yeah.
That's a pipe dream.
Yeah. But that's it. There's one particular spot that I think right now, if we don't check it, it could become a very big nuisance for people.
Pickleball.
Pickleball, yes. On two aspects. The pickleball, essentially it's people take up the size of essentially what is a basketball court for two people to play pickleball because the ball travels everything. And it's like ping pong, the ball goes in all directions, right? That's one thing. Secondly, it's damn noisy. Pickleball is...
Where do people play pickleball in public?
They play in public.
Where?
Like courts. And
basketball courts?
Yeah, badminton courts, basketball courts, things like that, yeah.
But badminton courts, they rent... Oh, you mean those kind of like just public ones?
Yeah, just public ones, yeah. Or the basketball court or what, lah. They bring their own net, or they don't even need a net sometimes.
Is it?
And it's noisy, I think there was recently, someone on Stomp who literally measured the decibel value of like the people playing pickleball downstairs at his house. And was like sending it to his town council and all that. It's very noisy and the plastic ball and everything makes this like tok, tok, tok sound in the morning when people are playing it.
People play like
and
that.
The problem is that it appears to me that, I mean, not the problem, sorry. But it appears to me that a lot of older people are also playing it now, right?
Hey, Terrence, Freudian slip, man. Freudian slip, man.
Yeah. It occurs to me that, like, it's mostly older people. I don't see young people playing it much. And older people tend to wake up very early also. They wake up like 5, 6 a.m. There's 7 a.m.
So another video coming out, Terrence just shouting at the old man. Stop it lah!
Yeah. So pickleball could become a nuisance that way. In those two aspects, the amount of space it takes up for two people to play a game. Compared to basketball or badminton, you can usually squeeze more people and the games are faster and all that, right?
Yeah.
And then the noise, yeah. Pickleball could be the next nuisance that we have to deal with.
Terrence, you got a pickle with pickleball.
I think not just me, but there's a whole movement, not say movement, but a lot of people in tennis. There's this movement. There's half of the people are like, yes, pickleball is a fantastic sport, easier to pick up in tennis and everything. The other half is like, no, fucking pickleball is an abomination. It's like, it should not taint the sport of tennis. La.
It's like last time hockey and floorball.
Yeah.
That also was like, hey, why floorball? But floorball now has become a sport of its own.
And floorball is easier to pick up, right?
Yeah, it's a lot easier. You can use your body and foot all to stop the ball.
Correct. And it's all plastic. It's not so dangerous like you swing
so
a
I was
hockey
a
bat.
purist.
You're a purist.
I was a purist.
You couldn't take floorball last time.
Also because I'm not the biggest guy. Right, so hockey, there's no like body contact lah. I play floorball. I'm like, wow, this one guy twice once just bang me. I'm screwed lah.
What do you mean there's no body contact?
You cannot shoulder charge in hockey.
Huh?
I cannot.
You're protected to that level.
Hey, the ball is like a baseball, and you can get hit in the face, and your teeth all come out. No?
Then what about So what's wrong
you cannot
with two
shoulder
people?
charge.
What's wrong like jostling for a ball?
I mean, it's just not part of the rule lah.
As in, you touch someone, that's it. Yeah, it's a foul.
I mean, slide can, but football you can really shoulder charge. Hockey you cannot.
Floorball can.
Floorball can. Floorball is insane one, yeah.
Why is it that floorball has such different rules from?
I don't know what the origins of floorball are, but I don't think it's like sprung out of hockey lah. Because it's also closer to ice hockey on feet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like some like weird.
But ice hockey is damn violent lah.
Ice hockey is damn violent.
Yeah.
Field hockey is violent because you have sticks and you can get hit in the face and the ball.
Yeah.
But floorball, the ball is a lot gentler, but it's a lot more physical.
Okay. So you're saying floorball is more like ice hockey where you can use your body a lot more, right?
Yeah, I mean field hockey you can like kind of smartly kind of like block, but you can't shoulder charge lah. And I also haven't played floorball for damn long, so I don't know whether the rules have changed. I haven't played hockey for damn long, so I don't know whether the rules have changed. But yeah, that's what I remember lah.
Wow, I didn't know hockey is like so such a friendly sport, so soft. Yeah.
Don't make me go into my injuries, okay?
Okay.
Then it'll be another thing. You already talk about your injuries and all. But hockey can be like, it's literally a bullet. The ball is a bullet. The ball is a bullet.
But I'm quite surprised that you can't body charge. I thought that was like for sure you can.
You can't.
Wow.
So for a smaller guy like me, it's helpful lah.
Okay. Because they touch you.
Oh my god! No, but really, yeah, it helps.
So was there a lot of flopping also?
No lah.
No. Okay.
I mean,
flopping. For those people know, flopping means like you when you just fall very dramatically to get.
I mean,
foul,
you can be smart about it lah. You can be smart about it
because that's what people criticize basketball for, right? There's a lot of flopping. They just touch the elbow, like one finger touch only is a foul.
I mean, you will find those sort of players also.
Got it. Okay.
But not me lah.
Okay. Yeah. You're the real man in the boys sport. You're a man in the boys game.
Hey, fuck you, understand? It's a damn manly sport.
Yes. But man. Tell us what you think about that. Or if if anyone has a better solution, I think people like Void decks have pretty much been the same ever since the start of time now, right? So if there's a better solution, why not, man?
Yeah, exactly. Man.
On to the one Shiok comment.
One Shiok comment, man.
Yep. What is your one Shiok comment?
My one Shiok comment is a comment on the episode 463, our podcast on the Long Island to be reclaimed off East Coast Park.
Sure.
And this is one of the most informative comments I've seen on Reddit. I'm guessing you saw it also, right?
462 lah. Is it 462? Is that
462? Yeah. It's a comment on Reddit by apprehensive_nail971. So we were talking about land reclamation and all.
Yes.
And this person is a former land reclamation sand supplier. And he or she talked about the project has been floating around 30 years. It's within the industry. It is our attempt to follow Dubai's Palm Islands, but it's also building a seawall to combat rising sea levels. And then we went on to talk about the different types of sand, and how sand and environment and how even land reclamation can be a political thing, right? And also that Singapore actually benefits a lot from land reclamation because the cost of the land cost is less than the sale price or value.
They mark up.
They mark up. So it's damn informative, man.
Yeah.
And even Rose Gold Cat commented in response to that. I really love how much I'm learning, not just from the podcast, but from the sub as well. So yeah,
that's the beauty of it. I saw that comment. I was like, wow, yeah, awesome, man. It's like even the subreddit has its own has its own life, has its own community and its own rules. And I'm not say rules, but like people understand the joy of coming together and just sharing a little bit of information from your perspective of your little area of knowledge, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was great. What about you, man?
Actually, mine is not generally one Shiok comment, but it's that time of the year again, the Spotify Wrapped. And I think yesterday was amazing because like everyone who had us on their podcast list or podcast charts or top podcasts started sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing and tagging us and all that. And I think our rule is generally, if people are saying good stuff about us, we just repost it. So please don't feel shy about tagging us and letting us know that we're your top podcast. We're just going to keep flooding our Instagram stories with it because it's such an ego trip to see. To let us understand that people have been hearing our voices like for how many hours it is every year. Right?
Still mind-blowing, man. Still mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
That top podcast that people listen to. Holy shit, man.
And I love it when they post what were the top 5 podcasts.
Yeah.
And you see the context of where we are relative to other podcasts.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, there's 4 true crime and then but and I'm like, wow. And that feels like it's an honor because like, you made time in your busy true crime schedule to make time for a current affairs podcast.
Yeah. And it really means a lot to us. It means a lot to us. It gives us the extra juice to keep going. But yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah. So shout out to everyone who's been posting about the Spotify Wrapped. But please post more if there's more.
Yeah. Cool. And what about your one Shiok thing, man?
My one Shiok thing actually is kind of related again to what we are discussing about supermarket prices and all. But yeah, there was a CNA segment. I don't know if it's a segment or it's a digital thing, but it was about. It's called Don Donkey and Decathlon. Wait, let me just play it. Make sure. Don Donkey and Decathlon. What you didn't know about mega stores, and it's part of the On the Red Dot episode. So it's a 22-minute video that you can find on YouTube that tells you a little bit more about how Don Donkey is run in Singapore and how Decathlon is run in Singapore. So, and it's not just about on the surface. They go into like what goes after hours, how Decathlon does its stock check. They talk about how Don Donkey, prices their products differently in different outlets. And the little reasons why everyone who goes to Don Donkey, you get lost. Usually you get lost in the aisles or you can't find the same product that you bought from a certain location, like, a month ago or something like that. And it's all calculated. All these things they're all deliberate. And it's all part of their strategy of how they think they can get people to spend more time in stores. So it's a super interesting watch. And it will help you understand why Don Donkey is so powerful and hypnotic in some ways. And I think they also get some personalities like Muna and Ben King and Annette Lee to also appear in the show to just talk about their experiences as well. So it's quite an interesting format. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Cool. I love Decathlon. Don Donkey, I'm not so sure, not so sold.
You watch it, that's where it's quite interesting. They talk a bit about the business strategy, business psychology and pricing strategy and things like that that they do. And then, for example, they also talk about what's with all the names in Decathlon, the Quechuas and all the Mykonos.
Quechua is Quisha.
Quechua. In Singapore, I call it Quechua. Quechua in Singapore.
I got a Quechua bag, no?
Quechua.
Quisha.
Yeah, Quechua. For those who don't know, I think Quechua means like itchy backside kind of thing.
In some way,
not itchy backside, sorry, just very very kaypoh and that.
Quisha.
Quisha. Or Domiko or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, all the different names. So they actually have a meaning to it, and it's from elements of Decathlon's origins and elements of what the sport is specifically.
I see.
So interesting things. Yeah.
Cool. My one Shiok thing is an article by Rolling Stone. So, I mean, on Wednesday, US time, in Connecticut, Henry Kissinger passed away. That's not my one Shiok thing.
Okay.
It's just that, I mean, admittedly, I know that he is a big fan of Singapore. He was good friends with Lee Kuan Yew. And like over the past 1 or 2 years, there's been a lot of articles talking about his amazing legacy. But this Rolling Stone article, I'm halfway through it. It's quite long. It might take the too much of the extreme thing, but basically it shows the darker side of Henry Kissinger's legacy. And because I think when I open up my newsfeed today and yesterday, it's so much talking about how amazing he has been, how good relationship he had with Singapore, how fondly he did this. I think it's always important to consider the other side of political figures. Yeah, because if it's too whitewashed, then you might miss out some facts that it's just important to know. Because he was very influential in like Nixon's foreign policy with a few of the wars that the US waged abroad. I mean, Rolling Stone's article, the title is extreme. It's Henry Kissinger, a war criminal beloved by America's ruling class, finally dies. So it is very like, whoa, shit. But they detail quite a bit about some things that I didn't know about. So I think it's just important, like, because I think we first talked about it way back when Lee Kuan Yew passed also, right?
Yeah.
And there was a few good articles talking about how it's always good to remember the wonderful things that people who passed have did. But for political figures, for polarizing figures, it's important to recognize that there was other sides to what they did. Because you don't want the last memory to be just a complete whitewash.
Bit of roses.
Yeah, so this article actually is like quite good. It's a long article. But yeah, it's free to read.
Wow, cool.
Cool, man. Awesome. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah. 3 podcasts this week.
3 podcasts. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, it'd be great if you could share it with at least one other person.
Yeah.
Follow us on social media on Apple and Spotify.
Yeah.
And what else, Terence?
Email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com if you want to work together. But yeah, stay tuned. We have some interesting content coming up on this podcast.
Interesting guests.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks, everybody.